Hey, I'm Justin Czar with Bowhunter Die, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about tree stand safety, and most specifically, today we are talking about the Lifeline. Now, this is a tool that's been on the market for many years now. Our entire team here at Bowhunter Die is using them. We will not climb into a tree without them, but we want to talk to you guys today a little bit about the proper way to set up and use your Lifeline. It's a relatively simple tool as long as you set it up and use it properly. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that once the Lifeline is mounted in your stand, it replaces any other tree straps that you may need while hunting. So with a Lifeline, you're going to get connected before you climb up the tree. You're going to slide that prusik knot all the way up as you climb, and you're going to leave it right here throughout the duration of your hunt. There is no need to ever unclip from the tree and clip into another strap. All you need is the Lifeline. Now, one thing that we see guys do wrong a lot is actually the height at which they mount their Lifeline. A lot of bow hunters out there like to mount their Lifelines and their safety straps way too low on the tree. A lot of times they're putting it about their waist or their mid-back. And the reason that they do that is because they're afraid that the harness is actually going to interfere with their shot. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you put this thing up high enough where it's supposed to be, it is not going to interfere with your shot, and it's also going to keep you safer for a couple different reasons. So as you'll see, I've got this Lifeline mounted about a foot above my head, right? So when I'm in the seated position during my hunt, you want your tether not to be tight, but to be kind of taut, right? So as I sit down, you're gonna see that this tether, it's not super tight, it's not pulling on my harness like this, so I'm not uncomfortable, but it's pretty taut up there, okay? Now, the reason that that's gonna keep me safer is if for some reason I do fall out of my stand, it's gonna minimize the distance that I fall before my harness catches me. If you have this thing mounted too low on the tree, you could fall 2, 3, 4, 5 feet before this thing actually catches you, right? And the farther you fall, the harder that jolt is going to be, and the more likely you are to get hurt. Also, the more likely you are to not be able to easily get back up to your tree stand. If you fall below the level of your tree stand and you happen to fall on the side where your climbing sticks are not mounted, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to get back onto your stand, right? So for a couple different reasons, that's why we want to keep this Lifeline mounted nice and high. Now, the second thing that we see people do wrong a lot is actually the use of the prusik knot when they're climbing up and down their stands, right? So what a lot of people tend to do, because they think this is the right way to do it, is they actually grab on to the prusik knot. So when you're climbing up or down this tree, you do not want to hold on to the prusik knot this way. The reason for that is if you were to fall, your first instinct is going to be to grab on. If you grab onto this prusik knot, it doesn't allow this knot to actually dig into the rope, and it's going to go ahead and slide right down that tree. That's not what we want. So the proper way to use this is actually to keep your hand above the knot and use your hand to slide it down just like that when you're coming down. And when you're going up, you keep it under the rope and you slide it up this way. Now, one thing that people tend to have a problem with sometimes is if you don't affix your Lifeline to the bottom of your tree, either wrapping it around the tree and tying it off to maybe a climbing stick or a screw and step, something like that, and you try to go up the tree with your prusik knot, you're going to pull the rope like this. So I always like to tie my Lifelines off at the bottom of the tree. It keeps them nice and taut. It allows me to properly slide this prusik knot up and down. Once you get into your tree, you slide it all the way up to the top, and you are ready to go for the rest of your hunt. Guys, there's no reason that any of us should not be using a Lifeline when we are hunting from an elevated position. There are far too many people still falling out of tree stands and getting hurt or even killed because they're not using the proper safety equipment. Guys, a lot of great harnesses out on the market. Obviously here at Bowhunter Die, we're using the Hunter Safety System. I've got the Elite vest on. This is the vest that I will hunt in all season. It's a great product. So guys, if you're out there hanging tree stands and hunting this fall, make sure you're using your Lifelines. Make sure you're using them properly. Remember to hunt safe and enjoy yourself.